Okay. I would like to welcome everybody here this evening for our annual meeting. And I'd like to introduce the members of our board here tonight some of us will be remaining on, but some of us will be leaving. But for purposes of tonight, this is Doug Savage. Doug. Bob Dembinski. Jim Morse. Jack McFeely. And Greg Lindy. And I am Lisa Powers. And thank you all for coming. One of the things that I'd like to talk about is a few of the things that happened this year that have made this a really fantastic year. Well, we have a lot to be grateful for, and we are also dealing with a lot of challenges coming up in the next year. For those of you who watch cable on a regular basis, you may have noticed that programming has increased dramatically, and that is really thanks to Carl Pride, our station manager, and the volunteers who have gotten active and have been producing shows on a regular basis. We have shows like Inside and Out, done by Adel and Bee, and It's Your Money, which has been very popular. And we have had the weekly selectmen meetings and coverage of town events, so it's really been expanding. One of the problems that we have is that we are limited by our funding in the equipment and in what we can do. So we have to work really hand in hand with CVI, which is now Time Warner, and together we try to come up with the right combination of money and equipment and people to make a really successful station. So it's my feeling that we've really come a long way, and we have this beautiful new studio here, lovely anchor desk, and lots of new faces. So we're looking forward to the year ahead, and we're very grateful for the past year that we've been so lucky with the people that we've had. A couple of things I'd just like to mention. We lost our station program coordinator, Dan Howell. And we're sorry to lose Dan, but he moved on to Sharon, and they're lucky to have him, but, we have to adjust. What we got in exchange was Carl Pride full-time. Carl was our station manager, he was not the program coordinator, but now he's everything. And it is through Carl's dedication and hard work that we've really been able to pull it all together. We also lost Mark Lindy, who was our regional program director, and he moved on to Brockton. So they are also very lucky in Brockton to have him, and it is truly our loss. And we want to thank you, Mark, for everything you did for us at your time with CVI. We would like to also introduce tonight the new regional program director, and his name is Wes Ray. Wes, can you stand up so everybody can see you? I had written you a letter, Wes, and in my lack of getting it out on time, I thought I might as well read it to you here live and welcome you. Dear Wes, NCTV received the announcement from Steve that you are our new regional program director. On behalf of Norfolk Cable Corporation Board of Directors, I'd like to welcome you to your new position. We're familiar, or I am familiar, with your reputation at Walpole, as their program coordinator, and you were there for years. So you bring a lot of experience, and we know that you will be bringing us, many, many good things, and we look forward to years ahead with you. So thank you, and welcome. Besides all the good things that have happened this year, as most things are, it's mixed with a little, bitter and sweet. And a couple of the bitter things are that we will be losing Carl Pride. And this news came recently to us. He was made an offer that he couldn't refuse in Reno, Nevada. So he is going to a fantastic opportunity, and we wish him lots of luck. That's one of the things that we, or the new board, will have to deal with in the coming year, coping with life without Carl. So anyway, let me see. There were a couple of things I wanted to say. aside from the fact that it will be hard to fill your shoes, Carl, you have been a virtual one-man show in that few people realize what the extent of his knowledge is. As far as the equipment goes, if something breaks, other people would have to hire technicians and pay them. Carl can come right in and fix the equipment. He knows how everything works together. He can coordinate an entire event single-handedly, and in many cases he has. He's a whiz in the editing room. He's a professional on every level, and all he will ever need in life is a good spell check, and he will do fine. And besides being accessible, that's the other thing. Carl was always there and went above and beyond the call of duty. And he's also been an excellent teacher. And it was through Carl, I took my first class at, NCTV several years ago, and it was through a class that Carl taught that I got hooked. And, anybody who hadn't had benefit of Carl's teaching really missed out. And when he comes back from Reno and he comes back to us to work, hopefully you'll be able to take advantage of it then. So anyway, with that in mind, and facing the challenges of the coming year, just a couple of things I'd like to mention. There are some changes that will be made. For those of you who may not be aware, we lost a station, Channel 2, with Time Warner, so it's a little bit, cutting back on that, and, Channel 4, I'm sorry, and we are also going to be negotiating a contract in the next couple of years. So the next board will really be faced with some interesting challenges ahead. Besides replacing Carl, finding a new station manager, there are quite a few things that are coming up. So I wish the new members lots of luck. We'll be electing them here tonight. And thank you all for coming. So at this time, would our secretary like to read the 1994 annual report? Jack McFeely? You have to come up here. Thank you, Jack.
Thanks. It's required that we read the minutes from the prior meeting, although I have the minutes here in their entirety, and if anyone wants a copy, they're welcome to it. I'll try to just skip through things for the sake of brevity. The meeting was held last year in this studio on April 13th, 1994. It began at 8:40. At 8 p.m. It was concluded at 9:40, sorry. And we had 7 attendees and 8 proxies. Lisa Powers, Jack McFeely, Doug Savage were voted for 3-year terms. Nominations and elections were open and held. This is the minutes of last year's meeting with Jack McFeely as president. I'm reading the secretary's report from last year. Jack McFeely, president, Jim Morris, vice president, Bob Dembinski, treasurer, and secretary, Dick Peters, secretary. The 1992 financial report was presented by Bob Dembinski. The annual meeting was concluded at 9:40. The regular business meeting was then resumed. Mark Lindy was introduced and spoke briefly to the board about the future plans for CVI and the Norfolk operation, including a new editing system and new cameras for the van. Jack had added that the iNet and the linking of the 2 schools in the main library be considered a priority for CVI. That's last year. The logo designed by Dick Peters was approved and will be put to use immediately. That's the logo that you see here. Carl reported on upcoming seminars and updates were given on training progress, playback progress, and press releases. Doug Savage motioned to accept. Bob Dembinski seconded, unanimous. There's no reading of the treasurer's report. The agenda was interrupted at this point to introduce the members of the board, and Jack explained the function of the board and how it was constituted, explained that the board consists of 7 members elected for 3-year terms on a rotating basis through those 7 members. And this year, which is last year, there were 2 positions on the board that were available. The first was Bob Dembinski, and there was a motion from the floor for Greg Lindy, and both were elected new members for 3-year terms beginning in 1994 and ending in 1997. The floor was then open for nominations for offices for the 1994-95 year. Doug Savage nominated Lisa Powers for president. Greg Kapachin seconded. There being no further nominations, a vote was made. Lisa was unanimously elected. Lisa Powers nominated Doug Savage for vice president, with Greg Kapachin seconding. There being no further nominations, a vote was made, and Doug was unanimously elected. The nominations for secretary were open. Jack McFeely was nominated. The motion was not accepted because I was chairing the meeting at that point, and it was actually delayed until the elections were over, and then we had the election for secretary. Greg Kapachin nominated Bob Dembinski for treasurer, and Doug Savage seconded, and Bob was unanimously elected. After the nominations were returned to Lisa, the secretary nominations were reopened, and Jack was voted as the new secretary. Lisa asked for proposals to change the bylaws. At this point, there being no changes proposed, which is a requirement, Lisa, for the annual meeting. There being no changes proposed, Greg Kapachin thanked CVI and Mark Lindy in particular for all the help and support that they had given us to us in the past year. Lisa proposed that for the true spirit of having a quick and efficient meeting, that a motion for adjournment be made, and I marked at that time that quick and efficient meant that she was already changing things. Doug Savage motioned, Greg Kapachin seconded, and it was a unanimous vote. And the next regular board meeting will be held on Tuesday, May 10th, 1994. That's the minutes from last year's annual meeting.
Thank you. Thanks, Jack. One of the other rituals of the annual meeting is that we need to elect new members. Before we do that, though, we would like to do something a little different this year, and that is to recognize some of the outstanding volunteers who have put together programs this year and contributed so much to the success of cable TV here. So if I might begin. The first awards go to members of the program It's Your Money. And if anybody hasn't seen It's Your Money, it is a regular scheduled program, and if you need to know where Norfolk programming can be found, it is found in the Norfolk Country Gazette and now in the Norfolk Suburban Press. So if you want to catch it, check it out and tune in, and you'll be very glad you did. I would like to thank Richard Keltica, and I would like to present him this award for his efforts and contributions to It's Your Money in continuing the philosophy of Access TV. Richard, can you come up and get your award, your certificate?
Thank you. This is fantastic. Thank you.
And your partner in crime. I would like to thank Barry Lacasse for his efforts and contributions to It's Your Money in continuing the philosophy of Access TV. Barry? And a third person by the name of Michael Bennett. We'd like to thank Michael for his efforts and contributions to It's Your Money and continuing the philosophy of Access TV. Great job. Now, I doubt that there is anybody who does not know the name of Adeline B., but if they don't, they will. And you might hear about Adeline B. on any number of different levels. She's very, very active in several ways, and every way a valuable contribution. Tonight, we would like to thank Adeline B. for her efforts and contributions in producing Inside and Out and continuing the philosophy of Access TV. Adeline, thank you very much. What? Where's Pete? Where's Pete? Also, Mary Ellen Gattoni for her efforts and contributions to Inside and Out and continuing the philosophy of Access TV. Mary Ellen. I am sorry to say that Peter Kane is not here tonight. He is the owner of Norfolk Antiques down in the center of town. But Pete does a show called Antique with Pete. Very interesting and informative show. So Pete, even though you're not here, we are thanking you.
He's
But-
not here, but I can.
But accepting the award for Peter is Patricia.
Correct.
Nice to meet you.
Thank you very much.
Patricia, for you and Peter. Thank you. One of the things that Carl was very involved with here in Norfolk, it was the education of not only the adults in the community, but also the children in the community. He was involved this year in a very extensive program with the 4th, 5th, and 6th graders in conjunction with the Freeman-Centennial Library. Anybody who has ever worked with 4th, 5th, and 6th graders knows that anybody should get a medal for doing that, but they did it, and they did it successfully, and as Carl said, you can see in the eyes of some of the kids that they were really turned on and got hooked by a lot of what they heard. So we are very, very grateful to Carl and to the ladies. Diane, would you like to come up and get your award for her efforts and contributions in TV education for the 5th and 6th graders? What happened to the 4th graders? Did they?
We didn't do 4th.
You didn't do 4th. Were you supposed to do 4th?
5th and 6th was enough.
Was enough, okay. All right, thank you. Next year. And Chris, could you come up? Chris Schwartz for her efforts and contributions to TV education for the 4th, 5th,
Okay. Now,
5th,
just the
and
5th and
6th.
6th. Maybe next.
Next year. Thank you. And last but not least, I would like to thank Justine King, who is not here tonight. Well, we were hoping that she could make it. Justine is one of our youth volunteers, and she is at gymnastics tonight. So unfortunately, you can only be one place at one time, but Justine has been a regular volunteer operating the camera and being an extra pair of hands, running the equipment, and even working in the editing room, and she has a great potential and a wonderful future. So we would like to thank her tonight for all she's done and hope she continues to do such good work. And we'll hold on to this, Justine, and we'll make sure you get it soon. Thank you all, volunteers. I have just one more tonight. Actually, there, just one more that I'll be doing, and then I can sit down. I spoke earlier of this gentleman, and again, nobody, will ever know how grateful we were to have somebody like Mark Lindy, who was just the most fantastic liaison between us, Little Norfolk, Norfolk Ware, somewhere near Walpole and Foxborough, I think, and Mark was the regional program director for CVI at the time, who again now is Time Warner. And Mark left for another job, and we lost him, but we haven't forgotten him. And he's left a legacy, and his brother, to serve on our board. Mark, we'd like you to come up and receive your award for your unwavering support. Thank you. And with that, I guess we can move on to nominations. Is that about right? Great. We are losing board members Doug Savage, Jim Morris, Lisa Powers, and Glenn Capachin, who cannot be here tonight, but we'd also like to thank Glenn for his time. So in lieu of those people leaving, we need to replace them with fresh blood. So I would like to seek nominations tonight for those positions. Does anybody want to nominate anybody? Yes, would you like to?
Nominate Adeline B.
Great. Mary Ellen Gattoni would like to nominate Adeline B. Okay, would anybody like to second that nomination? Great. Okay, anybody else like to nominate anyone?
Barbara King.
Barbara King. Great. Barbara King, anybody like to second Barbara King's nomination? Mary Ellen Gattoni. Okay, that's Barbara King, Adeline B. Anybody else like to be nominated or like to nominate someone? Mary Ellen?
Would like to nominate Donna Jones.
Great. Donna, would you like to be nominated? Good. Anybody second that nomination? Okay, so we have 3 nominations. Anybody else want to step forward here? Anybody want to change their mind? Okay, well, we'd like to then call for the election of those nominees, Adeline B., Donna Jones, and Barbara King. All in favor of that nomination, say aye. Aye. Oh, I can't vote.
Everybody who's a subscriber can vote. So,
Any opposed to those nominations? Great, congratulations and welcome to the Norfolk Cable Board. And at this time, I would like to invite those new board members to come up to the table and take their seats. And with that, the old bring in the new, and out with the old. Thank you very, very much.
well, you did the bylaws and answers the question. Any issues from the subscribers? Never.
Nominations for officers of the board and suggest a slate.
Suggest a slate.
Suggest a slate of Jack McFeely, President, Greg Lundy, Vice President, Donna Jones, Secretary, Bob Dembinski, Treasurer.
Okay, so I would still do that. Okay.
Just
All right. Okay. One final thing before I step down, and that is to ask the subscribers if at this time they would like to make any changes to the bylaws. Would anybody like to make any changes at this time? Okay, then it is noted that there are no changes. And we would also like to elect positions for the board. And that would be for president, vice president, treasurer, and secretary. If anybody at this time would like to hold a particular position, let them speak up now. Otherwise, I'll appoint. Call for nominations.
Do we have to start a particular order?
Can I nominate somebody?
Let's start with president.
Can I nominate someone? I'd like to nominate Jack McFeely. You know, I'll give you some pointers, and it'll be okay, Jack. You can do it. And Jack has been great, and he will continue. He was president before me and did a fantastic job. And if you have no objection, Jack, I'd like to nominate you for president.
No, this is fine. Thank you. Thanks.
Great. Being that Greg has been on the board before, I would like to nominate Greg for vice president because he brings a lot of experience to this board. And do you have any objection to that? Would you like to be vice president? Great.
Thank you.
Second that? Second it? Great. Thank you, Bob. Which leaves you with, after 10 years of experience, Bob, Would you like to continue being treasurer? I'd like to nominate you for treasurer.
Well, you know my situation, so...
I know your situation, and the fact that you're unable to add and subtract doesn't bother us here at all. What Bob means is that he is going to be moving sometime this year, but we'll take you as long as we can have you on our board, Bob, so we'd be really grateful if you'd stay on and be treasurer for as long as you can. Great.
That'll be fine.
Great.
Take them too long to combine the two books into one, two sets of books into one.
Which leaves secretary. And does anybody want to step forward and take that?
I nominate Barbara King.
Barbara King. Well, that's great, because she's not here to do anything about it, so I nominate Barbara King. Good. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Barbara, well, welcome, and we're all set, so good luck. Great. Yes, I do.
Oh, my God. This is like deja vu all over again. Last year we did the same thing. It's role reversal or something. There isn't that much left to the to what has to be done at the annual meeting, and in fact I'd like the board to stick around for a few minutes, because I'd like to have a regular meeting of the board after the annual meeting is over with, just to talk about a few things that we really need to get out of the way, namely the replacement of our station manager and how we do the interviews and such. This past year, serving as secretary has been an extreme pleasure, because I don't think I've ever been with such a fine group of people, committed people who are just a joy to be with and work with, and you know, it's with sorrow that I have to say so long to some of you, and it's with extreme discomfort that I have to say so long eventually to others, but we'll manage and we'll make it through. I do have a few things that I'd like to present to the people that. Thank you, Carl. we can do that. Yeah. And before we do, Jim. I have a few awards of my own, a Board Appreciation Award for each of the members of the board. I wasn't handing Jim his, I was handing him something to sign. So, but what I will do right now is do it a little bit less discreetly. I will hand Jim the Board Appreciation Award for serving as a board of director for several years now, and we're all going to miss you. And Jim is not going to be able to make it for the next year, because he is heavily involved in the Norfolk Youth Soccer as the referee coordinator. So it's not that he's retiring from things, it's just that he's got more work that he's got to do. Thank you, Jeff. And I have another Board Appreciation Award for a person that I'm sad to see go, because he always accuses me of not getting his name correct, and especially when he seconds things in the meeting. But I have another Board Appreciation Award for Doug Savage and all the fine work that you've done. Including making up the certificates for all the other people. I had to make these up. And, well, just so I can do it formally, okay, but I want to do it formally. Bob is, at some point during the year, perhaps, and if he doesn't, he can give us back the certificate. And in fact, I would gladly accept the certificate back, but I have a Board Appreciation Award for probably one of the finest people that you'll ever want to meet. Those of you who've gone to the town meeting in Norfolk notice, besides Carl running back and forth, you know, in his trench coat, you'll notice that there is always somebody standing there behind the camera year after year after year. Might be other different faces and everything, but in particular, We have Bob Dembinski, who's been with us since day one. Okay, day one, who's been on the board of directors and still is on the board of directors, fortunately, and has manned the cameras every town meeting, manned the cameras on innumerable other occasions. I hope that's the right word, especially with so many educators in the room, and has taken care of, or taken the responsibility of updating the bulletin boards that you see on a regular basis on the Access channel. Bob, come on up here for a second. I want to share this with Lisa. Lisa, come on up here too. I want to share this with you. This is your appreciation award, but before you run off, we want to make sure that we do it right. So rather than having some obscure meeting somewhere during the course of the year,
Bob, we'd like to give you this cutting board. From NCTV. Here, if I can just turn it this way for a minute. This beautiful plaque for a wonderful person for 10 years, in appreciation for 10 years of dedication and hard work supporting community access television from 1985 through 1995. Your friends from Norfolk Community Television.
why don't you stay here for a second? As treasurer, Bob, you get to pay for that, too. I have two for you. Okay, one is the Board Appreciation Award that we've given to everyone else for the fine service that they've done for the past year and the fine service that you've done for the past year. But we wanted to make sure that everybody, you went away remembering everybody, and so we also have, signed by everybody on the board,
Oh, that's great.
a 1995 Award of Merit for you, presented to Lisa Powers. Thanks for your contributions while serving as president of NCTV and continuing the philosophy of Access TV.
Thank you very, very much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Can you get up to Carol a little bit later? I want you to come up again. All right? We have, before we close off on the annual meeting, we have one other sad thing to do. That is roast Carl. No, we roasted him the other night, so we won't go through that again. But most of you already know, and those of you who don't, I won't tell you. But close your ears because you don't want to hear it. Carl Pride, our station manager, is leaving. That's the bad news. The good news is that he has taken on responsibility for bigger and better things. He will be taking on the job of is it station manager, the official title of the Sierra Nevada Community TV? Production. Easy for me to say. Production director for Sierra Nevada Community TV. Carl, come on up here for a second. Before we do the formal stuff, Jackie and I just wanted to make sure that you didn't get away without a personal gift, and we just wanted to give you a personal gift first. And I'd like you to open it up, too.
Okay. I'll do it back first. I want to wish you an itsy-bitsy teeny-weeny bit of luck. Because with all your talent, that's all you need. Jackie. Jack. Cool. Feeling good out there.
Yeah, huh? It's sort of like a showbiz term, right? Break a leg, ice cream, things like that, right? No? Jackie wanted to make sure that you went away with something positive after all the time she's had to nurse you and your fingers back to good health. We have one other thing. Oh, actually, before we even go on and further, would you want to introduce your family too
Sure.
for us?
Sure. Tracy, come down there. On yours, thanks, Dave. In the red is my father, Cecil Pride, and in the blue is my mother, Harriet Pride.
Carl, there really isn't anything that I want to say at this point because, you know how I feel, you know what I want to say, you know how important, how valuable you've been to us. So I won't say anything more than just, you want to say something to Carl?
No.
No, okay. Then we'll ask Carl to do the talking after he opens up this. Carl, thank you for all the wonderful times you've given us.
Okay. Thank you.
There's a sound portion
Oh,
to that.
yeah. Jason, zoom in.
And what does it say inside?
They're not gonna.
The top part, Carl.
Oh,
None of us,
want to see you go. None of us want to see you
and
go.
they're all holding their eyes and blindfolded.
Thank you.
We could have done this and prepared you, but, the suspense is even better.
Another cutting board, yeah. NCTV presented to Carl Pride an appreciation for many years of dedicated service to Access Television in the town of Norfolk Community Television, 1995.
Can you hold it up so everybody can see? Stand over here. Stand over here.
You want to say something to the group? You have to.
Oh, I have to. Okay. Well, I'm getting better at this, at least. There we go. To say to the group, the board gives me the mic. The board that hired me. And out in the audience, the representation of CVI, the company that hired me. What to say to Norfolk people, the superintendent that's in the audience, the volunteers, the library, the people that host shows. Access Television is where it's at. It's everyone's ability to stand up and say what they want to say. Where else could someone like this, someone like me, be able to be up in front of all the people in the town and say thank you? You got something special here. Thank you. I'm gonna miss this place. Been here 5 years. Worked with everyone in this room. I love you all. That's it. Thank you.
Not quite finished yet. The board would also, as a special token of our appreciation to you, would like to give you this, because we'd like to maybe see you again sometime. So, why don't you open that? Something I think your family will appreciate as well.
Whoa.
And that's for all of your service that you've given us.
Thank you.
Wow.
Thanks, Carl. You've been great.
Thank you. It's a check for... It's a plane ticket back home. Thank you.
Since I've only done this a couple times before, is there anything else we need to do before we close the meeting?
No.
No. Carl's the person over the years who's been giving me all the cues and you know, Jack, do this, and the hand coming off on the side and everything, and saying, Jack, you dummy, you forgot this or you forgot that and everything. So I just had to say, Carl, before you go, before we close the meeting, is there anything else I'm supposed to do? Do you see his lips moving as I speak? Having nothing else to present or nothing else to say relative to the annual meeting and such, is there anybody else here who would like to add some comments or whatever before we close the meeting? Yes, please do.
Don't go away. We said our goodbyes, those of us here at the school that have worked with Carl said our goodbyes the week before vacation. But I want to thank him for all I put him through working with the 5th and 6th graders. At one point he said, I don't know how you do this, I'm so tired. But thank you for sticking with it. You were a tremendous asset to the students here at Freeman-Centennial, as you have been to all of the people of Norfolk.
Excuse me? Absolutely. Lisa?
Sorry. Oh, yeah. I know. I did too. I was so nervous when I got up here earlier, and on the top of my list of things to say was to mention one of the other things. They're in the editing room. This is why we don't normally go live.
Should we tap dance while we're waiting?
Come on, Jack. One of the other things that Carl did was he introduced an internship program here, and it has been a lifesaver for us because not only has it given us some fresh ideas and creative minds who are studying video arts, but it has offered an extra couple of sets of hands. So tonight we would like to truly thank 2 young men who and will be continuing with us too, because we really need them now. I'd like to thank Dave Shea and Jason Fernandez. Jason is behind the camera, so you're going to have to somehow hand off that headset to somebody and come on up here. And Dave, you're going to have to come out of that editing control room and get your... We'll Jason, thank you very much.
Dave, there's no one directing.
Here,
Right
this
over
one
here.
here, Dave.
They want to
Jason.
see you. He's
There you go.
and Dave, who will be continuing on a paid basis with us in Carl's absence for a while, hopefully for a long time. Thank you very much, Dave.
Thank
You've
you.
been great. Thank you. And that is it. So thank you.
Now, let's see, is there anything else we've forgotten? Hearing nothing else, I would entertain a motion to close the 1995 annual meeting of the Norfolk Community Television Board. I have a motion to close from Greg Lindy. Adeline, second. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Thank you for coming. You're welcome. I would like to have just a regular board meeting, and everyone is welcome to stay, too. We have some questions that we need to discuss, just to take care of a little bit of business. I thank everybody for coming down. One of the things, I don't know if Carl had a chance to do it, what's going to happen in the interim, we're going to try to, did Dave and everything? Great. So Dave and I